Hi third grade friends, thanks for joining me today. Have I got something awesome for you. So let me tell you this little story. So you know I'm doing school in the basement. All of my other work upstairs I do at the kitchen table. Connor and Kenzie are set up at the dining room and Mr. J is in the office. So yesterday I walked into the office for something. I don't even know what it was because it doesn't matter anymore. And I happened to look on the floor and there was a whole stack of library books there. And I was like, okay, how did Mr. J get library books? Because he hasn't been to a library, I know that. And apparently, before school closed, he had them on his table because he had gotten them from Mrs. Bannock, and he just scooped them up and brought them all home. So I, of course, start looking through them, and I found the best story for us to read. So I know it's been a long, long time since we read a story together at the carpet. So I just want you to sit back and relax and enjoy. Miss Busby makes this look really easy. I don't know if it's going to be or not. I will try and slide the book into you to show you the pictures the best I can, and we'll see how it goes. So the story I picked is a story about a little white dog, of course, because I have a little white dog. I love them. And this is called Gaston. So I don't know if you've heard this story before or not, but I read it last night and I just loved it. It gave me the warm fuzzies. So sit back and relax and enjoy our little story about Gaston. So here's the first picture. Oh, that's not bad. I'll practice. Mrs. Poodle admired her new puppies, Fifi, Fufu, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Would you like to see them again? Fifi, Fufu, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Perfectly precious, aren't they? Mrs. Poodle thought so too. The puppies grew, as puppies do. They were no bigger than teacups. The fourth, however, continued to grow and grow until he was the size of a teapot. Mrs. Poodle took pride in teaching her puppies how to be proper pooches. They were taught to sip, never slobber. Good, well done, very nice. Nice try. They were taught to yip, never yap. Yip, 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 roof. And they were to walk with grace, never race. Tip-toe, tippy-toe, whoa. The puppies were also taught how to look pretty in pink, nibble their kibble, and ride in style. Whatever the lesson, Gaston always worked the hardest, practiced the longest, and smiled the biggest. Mrs. Poodle was very pleased with all her puppies, Fifi, Fufu, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Spring arrived and the proud mother was eager to show off her darlings. She took them to the park for their very first stroll in public. There was much to see. Daffodils, ducklings, dogs. Oh dear, what do we have here? Rocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette. Would you like to see them again? Rocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette. This was more than a little awkward. The mothers sized up the pups. The pups sized up one another. It seems there's been a terrible mistake, Mrs. Bulldog said, breaking the silence. Wee, Mrs. Poodle agreed sadly. Whatever shall we do? Mrs. Bulldog could not come up with an answer. "I guess we'll let them decide," she replied at last. Gaston and Antoinette were young, but even they could see that there had been a mix-up. The two puppies began to circle around and around the group. Gaston walked with grace. Antoinette raced. Gaston yipped. Antoinette yapped. And when they finally came to a stop, the puppies had traded places. There, that looked right. It just didn't feel right. That evening, Antoinette tried to fit in with her new sisters, but she did not like anything proper or precious or pink. Pooey! On the other side of town, Gaston tried to fit in with his new brothers, but he did not like anything brutish or brawny or brown. Ick! Antoinette and Gaston weren't the only ones who were having a hard time adjusting. Sorry, my fingers got in the way. The next morning, Mrs. Poodle forgot all about being proper and raced back to the park. Mrs. Bulldog was already there waiting with her burly brood. "It seems we've made a terrible mistake," she nearly shouted. "Wee wee," Mrs. Poodle agreed happily. This time, Gaston and Antoinette wasted no time trading places. There, that looked right, and it felt right too. From that day forward, the families met in the park every day to play. Rocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette taught the poodle puppies a thing or two about being tough. Likewise, Fifi, Fufu, Ooh La La, and Gaston taught the bulldog puppies a thing or two about being tender. And many years later, Gaston and Antoinette fell in love and had puppies of their own. They taught them to be whatever they wanted to be. Isn't that so cute? Look at them, and what a cute little family and all those puppies that they have. So anyway, I hope you liked this story. I liked it. I just couldn't leave it there and not bring it down here to read to you. But remember, whenever we read a story, you always want to try and take something from the author. So this was a silly mixed up story about a pet. And maybe if you have a pet at home, if you have a dog or a cat or another fish, or even if you don't, maybe you could take inspiration and you can write your own silly mixed up pet story. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. I'll have another one for you next week. I've got to go back and look through that pile and find another one. Thanks for joining me. Bye.